Welcome back to my training room. Over the last few weeks you followed me through the process of building the grain elevator for the BK Feed Company, and in installment 5 we set it down into some finished scenery. Well, not quite finished, it still didn't have a driveway to allow for road access. Over the last week or so I have corrected that problem, so let's take a look. Well, here it is. It's a common driveway that serves both the feed company and the team track. This homosote in the foreground is just a temporary placeholder showing the approximate location of the loading dock for the freight house. Anyway, let's go back and I will walk you through the steps I used to make this driveway. I've cut this back, I've masked the track, and I've mixed up a rather runny batch of plaster. So I'm just going to pour that in my driveway. Well, I left this overnight, so this driveway should be rock hard by now, but it's not, it's still damp. And I can't sand it, so I'm just going to scrape it instead. At this point, I'm not trying to get a final finished surface anyway, just get something that I can build on. Perhaps it's a blessing in disguise not being able to sand it, because that would put dust over everything else, and the rest of the layout would require vacuuming. I've got this slight gap underneath the building, but that's not too worrying because I've got to put another layer on top of the driveway anyway, and I will put my dirt on and have it halfway up this foundation piece. Because I've had trouble in the past with the dirt sticking to my structures better than I expected it to, I'm going to try using a barrier. I'm going to try this stuff, petroleum jelly, because virtually nothing sticks to it. So I'm going to smear that thinly around the foundation and also put a little bead underneath to form a dam. That hopefully will stop the sand from working its way underneath and lifting the structure still further. This is only an experiment, so I don't know for sure that it's going to work. I think it will, but there's only one way to find out. That's why they call it an experiment. Here I have to go all the way from here around to about here. I've no idea what the best tool for applying it is. I'm going to start with a cotton swab. That was just a very thin smear. I want a slightly thicker bead along the bottom, and I'm thinking let's use a piece of styrene as a spatula for that. Right, let's put the elevator back in place. I don't want to touch it with my greasy hands. Let me go wash them. Okay, as far as the coating for the driveway is concerned, I'm going to go back to my trusted sifted dirt, and where that looks a little coarse, I'm going to fill in the texture with this. This is ash from my pellet stove, which is really fine. So let's get started. I'm going to start by going all around the edge, and then I'll come back and fill in the middle. Okay, now I need to wet that down and get it glued. Okay, and now all I can sensibly do is pack up everything and wait for that to dry. Well, before I can call this area done, I've still got to put some grass and weeds around the edges. I've got a few different colours here, which I'm just going to throw in randomly. I've got 3 different green shades and some of my 4 mix left over from the landscaping that I just did. I'm just going to sprinkle that around the edges where the driveway will be not so much used. Now I just need to get it glued down. So now it's just a case of waiting for it to dry. Anyway, after I turned the camera off for the last segment, I decided that I still wasn't happy with the driveway. The problem was that the ash I was using, although nice and fine, was too light, so it was just floating up on top of the glue. And I ended up with ridges, parallel ridges, all the way across the driveway where I put the glue in, and the ash was floating on top of that instead of filling them in. So I've gone back to sprinkling on a thin coating of sand. I let that dry. I lightly rubbed it with the sanding block. It's still a lot coarser than I would have liked for a driveway. I might come back and revisit it again sometime in the future if I find another product that might do a better job. Well, anyway, that's all for this installment. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again next week. Bye for now.